if anyone wants to follow along, it's pretty simple, I would say. We'll be using, of course, a ZITADEL instance. I'm running a ZITADEL instance locally on my machine with the latest version, but you can use your own ZITADEL instance, sign up on the cloud, and do this as well. The other thing that we'll be using is a pretty basic, just to demonstrate a login flow and get the access token and the ID token from ZITADEL, a JavaScript application, which is here. You can clone this repository, configure the authentication piece to connect it to your ZITADEL instance, and just log in, and it's good to go in just 1 or 2 minutes. This also shows how to use refresh tokens. So if you want to take a look at that, that's great. The other thing that we'll be using is a Postman collection to create the targets. Right now, we have to create the targets using the API because we need to get the signing key. This was part of the more production-like example. So just a comment on that, when ZITADEL sends a request to your webhook, it's going to send a sign header so you can kind of authenticate the request and make sure that it's coming actually from your ZITADEL instance. So that is done with the signing key. And to get that signing key, we will be using Postman to create the action. This is going to be included in the UI. An API request. So here are all the steps. You will need, of course, in this example, the actions are going to be deployed in a Cloudflare Worker. So you can go and sign up for a Cloudflare account. That is super simple. You can use Google or whatever, just a few clicks, and you're good to go. And from there, you will get 2 things. An API key that is going to be used by the deployment utility to deploy the code, and the account ID, basically your account information from Cloudflare. So when you have that set up, you are ready to use the deployment utility, which is the other thing that I wanted to show you today, that is in this repository right here. So if you search for actions, there is a folder called Actions V2 Cloudflare Workers, and there we have different examples. The examples that I mentioned in the beginning inside of the scripts folder. So for example, if you want to block login, add custom claims, forward events to Datadog, and a few more things, you have this there. If you want to see something else, again, just let us know, and we can include it. This is JavaScript code, but you can use the same code, maybe in a different infrastructure, or translate this to another different language that you prefer. But this has all the essential things that you need, like signature validation and sending the response back to ZITADEL. So this works out of the box. You can modify this code to your use case and just start using it. So it's really, really simple. I have this cloned on my machine over here. So I have already configured all the environment variables, the account ID, and the API token from Cloudflare. So that's done. And before we start, I'll show you how this looks like without any action generated, deployed. So let's log out. If I log in with my user, you will see that I get the access token and the ID token with no extra custom claims or anything. The username is what it should look like. There's no custom claim in the access token. So now I will show you how to deploy an action that will insert the custom claim, which was the one that got the highest number of votes in the poll that we sent. So if I go back to the utility that I mentioned in this deployment utility folder, this is a node application. That's kind of a wrapper for a tool that Cloudflare provides, which is Wrangler. And it's going to basically deploy this code that inserts a custom claim called group with the value admin. This can be whatever you want. So First step is to create a target. So let's go back to the example that I have here that explains how to deploy this code. And this is telling me that I only need a signing key, which is the signing key that ZITADEL gives me after I create the target. So I will copy this, Postman, just give it a name, and it has to be REST call. This is the type of target that we need for this. So this is connected to my ZITADEL instance. It's calling the create target endpoint, and as you can see, that works. This is returning me the signing key that I need inside of the Cloudflare Worker to then validate the request that's coming from ZITADEL. So now I go back to my environment, update this, and when I run this utility, it's going to ask me which example I want to deploy. In this case, I'll deploy the custom claims one, but you can deploy any other example. I just hit enter, and this automatically injects the secret and deploys the code. So if I update something in the code, I just hit deploy again, and everything is going to work as expected. Then let's go back to Cloudflare. Here I have my claims worker that was deployed 20 seconds ago. So now I have to go to my ZITADEL console and go to my actions. And if I go to target, I have this here. I created this with like a fake domain because I still didn't have the domain to call this webhook, which is now in Cloudflare. So I have to go to Cloudflare to get the domain and settings. And this is the domain that Cloudflare gave me to call this. Get this updated, and there you go. So that's okay. Now I have to connect this target to an action. In this case, it's going to be a type function. And since I want this in the access token, I will use the pre-access token. Okay, now fingers crossed, this should work. I want to make sure everyone can hear me okay, nothing is broken. Great, thank you. So let's go back to the application. As you can see, there's nothing here. If I log out and log in again, here it is. So this is a custom claim static value, but I could connect this to any external system and get information about this user. The action gets context of who is the user that's logging in. So you can take any type of action based on that, implement your own logic. But as you can see, it's extremely easy to use and set up. Just for fun, let me show you how to update the code. Let's say I want to change this to just user. Hit run again, custom claims. This takes just a few seconds and it's done. So if I log in again, this code was changed. And all of this is happening in Cloudflare. So you can go to observability and check everything that's happening. These are some console log statements inside of the action, but you can console log whatever you want here to troubleshoot if anything is not working as expected. But as you can see, this is really, really simple. So this is one example. The other one is just as easy. we'll try to get this done now. So the other one that was voted by all of you was the IDP mappings example. So this gets the attributes from an identity provider, an external identity provider, and maps those attributes into the user profile. This code that we have right here is set up to use two identity providers, a SAML identity provider and an OpenID Connect identity provider. But you should be able to see the logic. It's super simple and modify it to whatever you want. If, for example, you're using an identity provider that you don't know what attributes it's going to send, you can console log the information that you get there and then adjust the code to match what you need. So in this case, I will use another ZITADEL instance as an identity provider. The steps to follow are exactly the same. First, I will create the webhook in ZITADEL, the target to get the signing key that I will use to validate the request. Exactly the same process. I'll get the signing key. I will update this in my environment variable file. And then if I go and check this file, this requires two additional environment variables, IDP1 and IDP2, just because this is what I have here in this example. It's for a SAML and a OIDC identity provider, which are the ones that I have here, but could be anything you want. To get the identity provider ID, you get it from here. I think that's the easiest way to get the identity provider ID. I have it already over here, and back to the file, just add the IDs. To deploy the code, which is the next step, I need to pick the IDP mappings example. And this is going to inject the secrets again and the signing key, basically. That's what I need in this script. So how this works, let me show you the code really quickly. IDP2 in this case is going to execute for my OpenID Connect identity provider. So if I log in using OpenID Connect, the one that I have set up in my ZITADEL instance, it's going to append _test to the username, assuming that works. And we will see that in a minute. But you can change whatever you want here for the user profile information. So that was deployed. If I go to my actions, the target was created here, but I still don't have the Cloudflare domain. To get the domain, I come here to the mappings worker, which is the one that we just deployed, settings, and get the domain. Update it here. And then create the action, which in this case has to be of type response. And inside of the service user service, and retrieve identity provider intent. IDP mappings, and that should be it. All of these steps are explained in the README file. If you go to IDP mappings here, this is explained here, the environment variables that you need, how to create the target, and then how to create the action. It's user service, retrieve identity provider intent. So now I guess that's it, and this should be good to go. Let's make sure I don't have any user from another test. Okay, so there's no user aside from the admin that I'm using to log into this instance. Now, if I log out, log in again, log in with OpenID Connect. For example, let's try with this user. Here you can see that the username, well, it doesn't really make any sense. It's a number underscore test, but the intention of this is to show that the attribute was mapped correctly, which is what we have in the code over here. This is the subject coming from the identity provider underscore test. You can change this to whatever you want. And finally, you can also get here and check the logs to see that this is working, attribute mapped for the OIDC provider. Sometimes the logs can take a few seconds to show up here, but this is really useful to troubleshoot actions. So that's essentially it. As you can see, it's super simple to use these tools that we have to test actions and to troubleshoot and deploy actions in a more production-like real example. So there's a few other examples there, again, that you can go and test. And if anyone wants to see something different, just let us know. And we'll try to make this as useful as possible, adding new examples to the scripts that we have for different use cases. So that's pretty much everything I wanted to show you. I hope that you enjoyed and found this useful.